what I have noticed about AI with clients, though, is going to be very challenging for realtors
Yeah.
because people are relying now on ChatGPT. If you're relying on that and not me as the realtor, you might
Right.
miss out on something because you're using this AI system, which hallucinates, which means that it makes stuff up.
Well, hello. This is Dr. Cynthia Tant with Sip, Sell, Repeat in Real Estate, and I have the distinct pleasure of talking with and learning today from Carly Ringer. And Carly is over in New Jersey, and
Yeah.
she's with Keller Williams Spring, right at Central Jersey Shore.
Friendly.
And
Yeah.
you have I understand, I'm going to tell you a little bit about you, and then I'll let you tell the rest of the gang.
Okay.
You have a background in marketing, economics, and business ownership.
Yeah.
So navigating transactions to ensure seamless experience for your clients. You also, which we are going to talk about, have a landlord with extensive disaster relief experience because we're both on the coast
Yeah.
and providing invaluable insight into flood zones insurance and coastal investing. Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about that since investing on the different coasts here. Well,
Yeah.
Carly, tell us a little bit more about you. That was just to kind of get us started. Tell us more about you.
Sure. I am located in Central Jersey at the Jersey Shore. I always joke you could tell by my tan that I live at the shore. But I wear a lot of sunscreen, as everybody should. And
Yes,
I
yes,
have
yes.
my hat. I
There
have
you
my,
go. See, we're going to have hats on today.
so I'm at the Central Jersey Shore. I grew up in North Jersey, so I have the North Jersey assertiveness, but I
Got
do not
it.
honk at people on the road. So
Right,
when it
that's
comes to
good.
negotiations, I handle things a little differently than most people, I guess, because I'm from around New York
From
City,
there.
but I'm also very laid back and I do yoga on the beach. So it's a
There
little
you go.
blend of everything.
How long you been in the business?
What is today? Oh, I missed my 10-year anniversary. It was 2 days
Oh,
ago. It
oh
was it
God.
was 2 days ago. It's been 10
Okay.
years and 2 days.
10 years and 2 days.
Yeah.
And as a retail realtor or as also an investor and a business owner?
So 10 years as a residential realtor, and I
Okay.
started investing on my own 2 years ago. And I
Oh,
bought my
wow.
first investment property 2 years ago.
Okay.
Can't believe
I,
I missed my 10-year anniversary.
well, just everybody say happy anniversary. There you go.
Nobody gave
Um,
me a little gold pin.
They didn't get anything. Oh, wow. They don't have that with it's Keller Williams, right? You're with
Yeah.
Keller Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just have my own brokerage, so I've been doing this for, well, thir started investing first 30 years ago. So,
Oh, wow.
a college professor got into town. My brother and I just, we didn't know what we were doing. We found a real estate agent, a gal that was an investor, and she said, "This is what you do, and this is what we did." That's what we did, and it was very, very great advice, and was able to build quite a bit of wealth. And when it was cheap, I mean, really cheap.
Yeah.
Today's the numbers are just a little kind of crazy, um, but I can't even imagine on numbers for you guys on the New
Yeah.
Jersey coast.
It's not
And
it's not even just the cost of the house, it's the cost of running the business. It's we talked about this a little before, the
yeah,
flood insurance, homeowners insurance is hard to get, especially if you have a house that is over 100 years old and you're within 5 miles of the beach. It's really
yep.
limited how many even homeowners have insurances are out there. And then if your roof, I think you're dealing with this too in Florida, if your roof is less than 10 years or greater than 10 years old, insurance
Ours
companies
is
are starting to drop
actually
people.
15 right now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So
yeah,
that's been challenging. There are a lot of costs to being a land. I say I'm a landlady.
landlady,
Land,
exactly.
landlady.
Well, I mean, let's talk about a little bit about that because since we're both on the coast, different coasts, and
Yeah.
we're in the hurricane zone, Florida, quite a bit. We've been very lucky here. It's unfortunately gone to the down south a lot more in the past
Yeah.
years than here. But yes, where do you also have an insurance just like that's just for the state of New Jersey, like Florida, where the have insurers are last resort? We don't
No,
have any insurers. No, but
we
the flood, yeah.
Flood is through FEMA, but there's also private
Right.
companies,
Private. Yeah, you have
which is
private. Yeah.
which
Well,
is
we
good
can do
because
Lords of London. Whoa,
yeah,
for that.
FEMA only
Yeah.
insures a house up to 250. So you want
Mm.
private insurance because most
Yeah.
houses, and that's typically just the contents and fixing up
Right.
the first floor, but the house
Right.
behind you could easily be more than 250 to fix, so
Yeah.
you want private insurance as well.
Yeah.
And you need
Um,
insurance if you get a mortgage.
yeah. Well, I've we've had and I'm not sure how your market goes. We've had a lot of people just pay cash. I mean, and then just self-insure.
Yeah.
Um,
During COVID, we saw a lot of that, a lot of
mhm.
that. Or people will, I have a client who's doing this right now, will come into a deal and say, I'm paying cash, but then end up paying with a mortgage. I always, and this didn't happen during COVID, I felt it was a little shady when people did it. I would always tell the other agent we would like the right to change to a mortgage because it always upsets sellers when somebody comes in with the cash and then converts to mortgage and doesn't tell them. I just saw in our MLS that somebody killed a deal because of that, because the seller was upset about it. So I always write in there in the contract, seller grants right to the buyer to obtain a mortgage. And then if you can't close with if you don't get the mortgage, you still have to close with cash.
Close anyways. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, are your buyers finding problems having a mortgage? I mean, ours are. I mean, you're not yet. Okay.
No. What do you
Yeah.
mean?
Well, just to get the mortgage, that they're not funding it that many here, especially condos. Might as well
Really?
forget
Oh,
it.
yeah. I know you're
Yeah.
having a lot of issues down there with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and also because of what happened down in Miami, what was that? 7 or 8 years ago, the
Yeah,
condo
the
that
sunrise. I forgot what the name of it was.
can't remember what it was, but obviously they're down there. They're a lot older condos. And
Yeah.
so we have some 1980s and stuff too, but not as many as they have down there. And
And
so now
that,
we,
so that when the condo fell down, that changed the way all associations in the
yep,
country are doing business. Even associations, we have a lot of 55 plus communities. My dad calls
okay.
them retirement communities. And I said, I wish
Yeah,
I could retire at 55, Dad.
yeah,
Uh, but even the 55 plus communities need to do a reserve study to make sure there's enough
yep.
money in the reserve in case something happens. But these are all standalone houses. It's just strange that they're the way they're regulating it now. I understand
Yeah,
the whole building
oh
where the
yeah,
building
no,
could crash, but not if it's a
yeah,
standalone house that's not
yeah.
attached to anything.
Yeah, I'm a CAM, so I have two associations that I manage, but they're smaller. And
Mm,
so we didn't have to do the Florida structural uh, report that had to be done within the past 2 years, anything above 3 floors and up. And some of them were just amazing as far as financial commitment to,
yeah,
I mean, 30, 40, 50, $100,000 to have these reports done by engineers.
yeah.
We
I
just had
feel
the
like
reserves done.
I feel
Yeah.
like that's going to greatly affect your market. And if you're saying, my background is economics and
Yeah.
marketing, I'm very into
Hmm.
econ. Um, it'll be an interesting case study to watch because if people are just moving towards paying cash, you're going to have a lot less people that can pay cash. So you have a lot less competition when buying a house, which means that the prices will start to come down. So
Hmm.
I think that'll be interesting to watch.
We don't have the kind of income. Like I just did some numbers from last month where the average price right now with our condos, I try to take the condos out, but we're looking at $325,000 for a house. Now
For
that's
how?
probably very small for you, a little much lower, as far as
Yeah.
you're talking. But
Yeah.
for us, we don't have people that have that kind of income. Now we have
Yeah.
big military presence here, but what we're finding is that 275 is where the most right now for a first time homeowner around here that they could think of even affording. Um, and so we don't have too many of those either.
And
Um,
um, they have access to the first time homebuyers grant too, right? So where they could get a
different
grant of
programs.
17,000.
Yeah, different programs depending on what's available in the
Yeah.
money pot.
I was
Rents though,
talking to somebody about that today. he was saying he's a physical therapist. He owns a physical
Hmm.
therapy place, and he was saying that his workers are in their 30s and they're saying we're never going to be able to afford a house. He
House.
said, I
Yeah.
wonder if they're not just not properly educated because a lot of people still think that you need 20% down to buy a
Sit
house.
down. Yeah.
I just helped a couple. They bought a house for 425. It wasn't at the beach, it was a town from the beach. So open up your horizon to other
Where to
places.
go to.
They had
Right.
$26,000 in their bank account to spend on the house. So they came in at a low percentage down, and we were able to get them one of the first time homebuyer grants. So they did,
Hmm.
and it's not that when you hear about something like that, you get concerned that they're not going to be able to pay their monthly payments if they're putting something so low down. But they were paying more in rent.
In rent.
So this actually benefited them to purchase it. And it's really just becoming more educated on the programs are out there that you don't need 3%. I mean,
Well,
sorry,
in
20%.
20%. Yeah, 20%. Well, today I've got a closing after this, and it's a second one for a young couple. And um, the funny thing is that she's just finished medical school.
Uh,
And so they've been waiting now for her to finish medical. I mean, I've known them for 15 when they were in high school, you
wow.
know. And so it's been a long time coming. And so I looked at the Alta and I went, how did you not put any money down at $625,000? I'm looking, I
Wow.
go, what happened? They got a physician loan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So and I said, I didn't even think about that. I said, because I don't think of her as being a doctor,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, that's
And
so funny. Yeah, because
yeah,
you've known her
you
for so
know,
long.
yeah, I've known her for so long. And
So
so I
can
said,
you explain the physician's loan to everybody?
I cannot.
Okay.
I
I
will
can
be
explain
learning.
it.
I will be learning though,
So
because it came up.
the
Yeah,
physician's loan is uh, they look at what your income's going to be and
to
they're not
be.
so much
Yeah,
concerned about your credit because let's say your income's 300,000 but you have a low credit score actually I don't think that student loans are part of your credit score. I take that back.
I don't.
They look at your debt to income ratio and your debt, meaning I owe this much versus I make this much. Your debt is so great, but they know that you are going to be
Very
making a lot of money. So
yeah,
the lenders are taking a risk. They're willing to take the risk on you, knowing that
right.
you have a lot of income coming up. And doctors are always needed, so you're going to find a job someplace. It's not like you're in a position where you're worried about getting laid off.
Yeah,
So
and
that's great that she was
yeah.
able to do that.
Well, and they bought their first house. Oh my gosh, it's been 5 or 6 years ago now, and it's on the same street that they bought their new house.
Oh, cool.
So, and we've been renting out while she's been basically we were able to rent it out while she went to med school so that her husband they could save money. So he moved in with the
Smart.
parents, because it's all local kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so they're so happy not to be with the parents, right? You know,
Even though they loved living there, I'm sure, but
they
yes.
love saving the
Yeah.
money, but you know what? They when they first went to go qualify for this house, and we're trying to figure out how to go because I didn't know they were going this. The lender called. She goes, dang. She goes, they have to show their credit better than. I said, what are you talking about? They would always pay all their credit cards off every month
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah.
And so I said, you guys, you can't do that. You have to have some debt because that's what they want. They couldn't get that concept in their head that they had to
Yeah.
have some debt. I said, just show it. And so they said, okay, well, how much? I said, I don't know. Just put something in there and then let
Yeah.
it sit there. And they got credit scores of 800 or something like crazy. And they're
Yeah.
only 32, 33 years old or
Wow.
something. But they're doing really well. So I'm really excited about them.
That's
But
awesome.
the what do you prefer? Who do you prefer working with? Do you prefer working with the investor? Do you prefer working with that first time home buyer? And then some of the things that you've done with those different types of buyers.
I like working with everybody, which
Okay,
sounds
okay.
so crazy because I love learning. and I
Yep.
love problem solving. And I every deal and every client is so different. You have the investors who aren't emotionally involved, they just want to know numbers. I enjoy
Hmm.
working with them because my background is analytics
Is
and I get really
right.
deep into spreadsheets. But then you also have, like, I had a client who passed away 2 weeks ago in the middle of the
Oh,
deal, and she was actually my teacher. She was my negotiation teacher. And
oh my
I
gosh.
felt so um, privileged and thankful that she asked me, or her family asked me to sell her house because she's been in the business for 40 years. She knows so many realtors. So that
Oh,
was
yeah.
really that was really touching. But I am now I when I knew that she was in hospice, I had said to my buyer to I'm sorry, to the seller's children, let me take everything off your
Right.
shoulders.
Shoulders.
There's a
Yep.
solar panel involved, so I'll call
Yep.
the solar
Not.
panel. Yeah, I know everybody rolls their eyes on that one. I'll call the
Yes.
solar panel company for you. I'll meet this person and that person. And it is considerably more work, but I just feel so fulfilled in being able
Hmm.
to help when somebody is struggling like that. And the son had made a comment something like, "Thank you for being so level-headed when I'm not." Because
Oh, wow. Yeah.
negotiations, he's like, "I'm going to give him the moon." And I said, "No, you're not."
Yeah. Not.
So, um, yeah, I like working with buyers, sellers, investors. I even work with landlords and tenants. I kind of do
Yeah. Oh,
everything.
yeah, I do too. I have three separate companies, with the long-term property management and the short-term,
Yeah,
and then also the brokerage. And so, because how do you do it? I said, I'm a one-stop shop.
yeah,
I'll find you the property you want, and we'll see if numbers make sense.
yeah,
Then once you do buy it, I'll be the person that can manage it for you.
yeah,
So I long term or the short term, and we kind of take that, and look at that. When you're working, and I know some of the questions that it, I was gonna like get to, but I want to kind of keep on this theme right here. When you are see a new agent coming in the business today,
yeah.
and we've got all this stuff going on, like AI and you just name it. It's so technical. There's so many computers. Or I should say, not computers, but the computer,
Systems.
yeah, systems. That's the word I'm trying to get. Which we know we need. We need systems to make
Yes.
this work. The new realtor when you come talking to, and the new gal that may be coming on board. What are a couple things, tidbits of information you might want to share with somebody like that?
I know AI is taking over the world, but belly to belly and
Yep.
picking up the phone and calling people, and I don't mean cold calling because I do not do that. I actually
Mm-mm.
teach a class. I've taught it around the country on how to succeed without cold calling, but a lot of it's just working the people that you already know, your database, and being, or we call it a database or a network or a circle or a sphere of
Mm-hmm.
influence. A lot
Sure.
of
Yeah.
it is you already have so many people on your phone and on your social media accounts. So talk to those people. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you know this expression. You want to work with people who know, like, and trust you. And those
Mm-hmm.
people already do. And so a lot of it is getting out there, learning, also educating people, letting people know you're in the business. It
Huge.
could be something simple like you're online at the supermarket. The person in front of you is buying gluten-free cupcakes, and you say to them, "Would you like those cupcakes? I'm hosting an open house this weekend. Um, Maybe I should bring some gluten-free cupcakes to it." And if they want to talk to you about real estate, they'll say, "Oh, you're a realtor. Um, how's the market doing in Belmar?"
Yeah.
You know? And if they don't ask you anything, you just move on because you never want to be salesy. Or if you're
Yeah.
in an Uber or taxi, whatever, and you drive past a house, you say, "Oh, I just showed that house to my clients last week. They have the weirdest X, Y, and Z in it." And then if the driver is interested, and by the way, the driver talks to a lot of people. So if the
People.
driver's interested in learning more about it, um, you he's a connector, she's a connector, you're talking to these connectors. So it's just opening up your mouth really is the biggest thing, and letting people know you're in business without asking them, who do you know looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? I don't
Yeah,
think
that's
that's the way
so
to do it.
I don't like that either. I
No,
mean,
it's
it's very, I travel a lot, and so I am always talking about real estate somewhere,
yeah,
because it comes up in conversation all the time.
yeah,
And and I on just the last cruise I was on in Alaska a couple of weeks ago, I've got a couple of people that are looking here because they're from different parts of the country. And I said, yeah, man, I mean, they ask where you from. I say Pensacola. And then I say, well, the beaches. I mean, when you're in Alaska, it's a different story,
yeah,
right? And so I've got a couple of people looking, but I always just talk to people.
yeah,
It seems, and I like the way your approach is too, of driving by with the Uber. I talk to Uber drivers all the time
yeah,
too. Go into the town, I go, man, I'll just even come out and say, how's the real estate around here? Not
yeah,
even, because I don't know. I'm in a foreign, a town and I don't know. And they'll start, well, it's really, blah, blah, blah. They'll tell you everything. But I like what you said as a connector, because a lot of
yeah,
people tell me I'm a natural connector. I'm putting
yeah,
people together.
yeah,
And I think
see,
we have to have that in real estate.
yeah,
Um, when your background is, you have the economic background. So how, obviously you had another career prior to real estate.
I did a few of
So
them. Um, right out of college, I got into advertising. I was a
okay,
media buyer, so I put commercials on TV, trying to
sweet.
figure out. So I was working for one of them was Smith Klein Beecham for Tums. So you had to figure out who uses Tums and let me play a commercial when those people are watching it. So that was
Yeah.
my first job out. And then I got into, so that was analytical and negotiating. And then
Mhm.
I just went straight into from there analytics, and I analyzed sales for linens and things who went bankrupt. I analyzed sales for Dwayne Reed, which is a drug chain in New York, which was bought out by
Okay.
Walgreens. But you'll still see their names in all the movies. And then I worked for Hertz Car Rental doing their pricing. So a lot of what I did was analyzing sales, which made a lot of sense in this field. Then
I
at
was
the
gonna say, what in your head said real estate? How did
Oh,
you get to this?
I, I actually never owned a house when I got into real estate.
Okay,
And I was living in Hoboken, which is a little city outside of Manhattan.
right. Hmm.
And I lived in this really, really cute house. It was a row house, which is unusual there. And when I was moving out of town, I thought I knew he bought it for 119,000 and I knew it was worth over 700 at the time. And I helped him fix it up while I was living there. And I thought, like, he's going to make money on this. How do I make money on this? So I went to
Right,
get my license to be a referral agent. I didn't even want to sell the house. I just wanted to refer business to other
right.
people.
Yep.
And then I hated it so much. I took the class, hated it. It was so boring because in reality, it's just the class is about the law and it is
It's
boring.
not anything.
So
Teach
I
you how to be
didn't,
real.
yeah, so I didn't end up taking the real estate exam. And then a year later, I was like, oh, maybe I'll try this again. I don't even know why. And I took the class, I took the exam. I didn't tell anybody for 6 months. I called it a secret agent. I
I
didn't tell
have one of those
anybody
right now. It's driving me crazy.
Yeah. I didn't tell anybody because I thought that there was such a negative perception of realtors. I thought they were like the scum of the earth. And
Other than car salesman. Okay.
yeah, I don't want to say that in case any car salesmen are watching.
Yeah, I know.
I was being mindful. But I just thought there was such a negative connotation to saying I'm a realtor. So people would say, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I help people with houses. Like I wouldn't even tell them what I did. And then I
Hmm.
sold my first house and then I sold a lot of houses and I love it. And now this is just wild to me, but I was invited to meet with the founder of our company a couple of weeks ago. It was the top, I think, 200 agents out of 200,000 in the country were invited to go to
That's
Austin
all.
to have a meeting. And it's funny to think that I didn't even take the exam the first time because I hated it,
Yeah.
you know? And now I love it. And I love teaching other people how to succeed in the business. I, I'll teach classes. I've been on panels. We were just on a panel last week giving advice to agents, and some of them have been in the business for a week, and some of them have been in the business for 30 years. And it's so, yeah, I really enjoy that.
Well, and I think as the ups and downs in this business and twists and turns and new rules and regulations and everything, you have
Yeah.
to have that, I believe, uh, that you the why,
Yeah.
because you're sitting there and it's people are, well, at my point in my career too, and probably yours too, it's just like people look at you and they say, oh, well, you just got it made. I go, you didn't look at the 30 years that did this, to make it
Yeah.
to this point. They just
Yeah.
think because of traveling a lot and having a ball, because they said, when are you going to retire? I said, why would I want to retire?
Yeah. No, not if
They
you
keep
love what
asking
you
me that.
do.
Yeah, I'm still having a good time. Not necessarily having a good time with all the BS. Sometimes it happens.
Yeah. But you
And
also, if you're traveling a lot, that means that you have the systems in place
I,
to be
mhm.
able to still help your clients at the highest level
Mhm.
and enjoy your own life.
Well, and the systems now, just a couple of systems that, again, looking at the new agent or even an agent right now that's trying to figure out something. What are some of the things that you use in your business? Since you have a more of I have a PhD in biomechanics. I hate math because I had to do calculus and physics and everything else, right? And so business was never going to be on my mind. That's the funny thing about all this. But
Yeah,
what are some things that you use? I know.
well, wait,
But
before you talk about me, how did you go from that to real estate?
okay, I was a professor here in Pensacola, came to town and started investing. My brother and I decided to get into investing first. And you're going to laugh. I mean, a lot of people really laugh at this. We got two duplexes and a triplex for $62,000 back in
Oh,
1994.
wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And then were
Oh,
you
not
just
overlooking.
you were
Yeah, we just
enjoying that so much that you decided
got
not
out
to
of
be a
teaching.
professor, or were you a
Yeah.
professor at the
I was
same
a professor
time?
for 5 years while I was investing and while I was trying
Okay.
to figure out which way. Oh, I was still a professor. But then I was saying, man, I kind of like this when I went that way. And it, I mean, one deal was my whole salary for being a
Yeah.
professor. And I went, this is kind of crazy. Even though I love teaching, I still, people ask me, I said, don't ask me about the human body. It's been a long time,
They
But I
haven't
do
changed
tell
a
people,
lot though.
well, I do tell people, I said, see this phone right here, if you can see it, I don't know, right here. It took me 2.5 years to do my dissertation on the mathematical part of it that you could do in your phone right now in 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's kind of crazy. But yeah, so I got into doing it and then I just really enjoyed it. And the investing part was we got into that historical homes, and then in 2006 it came along. First we had Hurricane Ivan, so we had a really small supply of houses and a huge demand which just took
Yeah.
off like crazy. um we had just sold our beach house. My brother and I had bought a beach house, believe it or not, for $180,000 and
That sounds like a
sold.
lot compared to your other
Yeah,
investment.
no, I know, but during this period of time, and we sold it 2004 was hurricane. We bought it in 2002 for 180 and sold it for 420 2 months before
Wow.
Hurricane Ivy wiped it off the
Oh,
beach.
lucky you.
Yeah. But yeah, I just enjoyed that. And then I decided, I'm going to get out teaching and just do this full time and been doing it ever since. Never realized I would evolve into what it did,
Yeah.
from owning the brokerage. I've always stayed in small brokerages. I just enjoyed it that way. But that's how I got out of teaching. I went back, oh my gosh, about 10 years ago, I went back to the junior college to teach stats or one semester. And I go, I will never do this again. I mean, it doesn't come back that easy to your brain at the time.
Yeah.
But I did sell 3 houses because to the students that were in the class because they were at math class. They
That's
were they were
awesome.
adult students, and when they knew I was a realtor, I said, "Well, this is a way to get leads, but
Yeah.
not to keep stats." No, I wasn't going to do it.
That's so funny.
I know. People say to me, they go, "How do you do that?" I said, "Like you said, open your mouth.
Yeah.
A handyman calls me up at midnight one night. He goes, I'm in jail. Can you get me out? I go, what? I said, why am I cut? He goes, I need to have bond. I've never done that before. I've never gone to a bond salesman or anything like
Yeah.
that, especially at midnight. He goes, this is what you do. I said, well, obviously you've gone through this
Yeah,
before,
this isn't your first time.
so, and he was a good guy. He just got in a few trouble, drinking was the issue, was a DUI. And so I said, all right. So I go down there. I'm talking to this guy. This is at 1 o'clock in the morning. And he goes, well, he's not going to get out this morning. This is how much it's going to be. He goes, you have to kind of show that you have the income. I said, what? I have to show that I have the income to pay $1,000? So I was talking to him. I said, I'm a realtor. I'm a real estate company. Here's a
Here's my
business
card.
card. And you know what he said? He goes, I need to buy a house. So here I am. So, so here I am trying to get my handyman out of jail. And I ended up selling a house and making a $6,000 profit on a little house. I
That's
said,
so
oh my
great.
gosh. I know,
That's
just
so
open your
great.
mouth. I've
Yeah.
got some crazy stories. And that's one of the things I had a while back. A salesperson told me, he said, facts tell, but stories sell. And
Yes.
I have so many stories and I
Yeah.
just love telling them. And everybody goes, oh, I don't want to hear another one. I said, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So how did you go and do your change of plans and everything?
Um, I think it was just so apparently I had all the skills to be a realtor
Right?
from many different things that I had done.
Right?
And when it was funny when I became a realtor, my best friend from college is like, oh, you should have done this forever ago. How did I not think that you should be a
Yeah.
realtor?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I've never used a realtor. Every house I've ever lived in, I found in like the newspaper, even though the internet was a thing. I found in the local newspaper or through word of mouth. And I don't know. I really could say I fell into it. And I didn't get into it because I needed a job or because I was a stay-at-home mom or anything.
Yeah.
This became my full-time career. And it's funny because when I was saying you have to open your mouth, I always tell
Hmm.
people, say I'm a full-time realtor. This is what I do for a living because everybody knows realtors. But
Of
when you
course.
say full-time and I do it for a living, people are like, oh, okay, you probably know more than the soccer mom that does one or two deals during
Right.
the soccer games type of thing.
Right. Well, and the other thing too is when we talk about, I think we talked earlier about referrals,
Yeah.
you know, and not necessarily asking for a referral.
Yeah.
Hey, do you know anybody who wants to buy or sell a house? I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I don't like that.
The funny thing is that my mom's 95. And so she came and talked to me. This was 4 or 5 months ago. And I know her friend who's 100. And so she goes, I think you need to sell Faye's house for her. I said, Mom? And she's giving me a referral. And I go, oh my gosh. And so we did, because Faye had to go into assisted living.
Okay.
And we went through the whole process. And her daughter is like, I think 78 or something. And she goes, I want my mom to be able to sign off all of the paperwork, which she's still mentally capable and everything,
Yeah.
because that had been her house for 65 years.
Wow.
And we had been looking for basically first, I wanted to buy it 2.5 years ago. I offered her a really good chunk of change, but then she wanted her son to have it and he just destroyed it. So finally the daughter said, oh, we're taking this out and she needs the money for the assisted living. And so, but we went to the assisted living place and she signed all the paperwork. It took her a little bit of time, but it was a cash deal. So my friends actually ended up buying it, and unfortunately, they're going to tear it down. But
Oh, wow.
yeah, but I mean, it had to be torn down. Let's just
Yeah,
say that.
somebody living there
Um,
65 years, I can
yeah,
imagine.
yeah. It still had 110 electric in it with split. It was a duplex split between two. Oh yeah, it had a lot of work that had to go into
I
it
was just
to
gonna
fix.
say it might have caught on fire at some point.
Yeah. Oh, it could have.
Yeah.
But so I know it's a profession that has a little bit of change coming, or a lot of change
Yeah.
because of technology. How are you seeing, or are you seeing any type of changes by the AI that you may be implementing in your business? Or maybe
Um,
you're not.
So I am not using it as much as
Hmm.
I could
Hmm.
because so my sister helps me with my marketing, and a lot
Hmm.
of what she can do can be done by AI. But I
Hmm.
would like to be able to help my sister, and then in turn, she helps me. So I have given her a job, so I'm keeping the human in the
Part
job.
of it.
So I
Hmm.
haven't utilized it that much. One day when she goes back into the film industry, when they start hiring people again, um, then I'll automate things more. And a lot of it is just automation. Um, what I have noticed about AI with clients, though, is going to be very challenging for realtors
Yeah,
because people are relying now on ChatGPT.
I know.
I've had two instances that I like to share with people so that they understand why not to use it. So one is I had a house on the market and it was 3 floors. The bottom floor was not a basement. It was you walk into the bottom floor and you walk up the other two. And the buyer wrote to me, sent me a text, and you can tell that it was ChatGPT by the
Hmm.
formatting of the
Right.
text. And
Text.
he
Yeah.
said, I reviewed the seller's disclosure. We're not going to be putting in an offer because the basement, again, there was not a basement, the basement had a sump pump, flooding, and mold. And I said, by any chance, do you use ChatGPT to run the seller's disclosure through it? He said, yes. I said, okay, just want to let you know there's not a basement, there's not a sump pump. We didn't mention mold in it at all. And he laughed it off. But if you're relying on that and not me as the realtor, you might
Right.
miss out on something because you're using this AI system, which hallucinates, which means that it makes stuff up. Clearly, it made stuff up. So that was one case. The second case,
That's great advice. That's great advice.
yeah,
It's
and I
good.
like you were saying, storytelling helps
Hmm.
people to
Hmm.
understand things better. If I were
Right.
just to say to you, don't use ChatGPT,
Yeah.
okay, and then you run and use ChatGPT. But if I
Right.
explain to you why, then you won't. So the second case was with a seller. We received a an offer $1,000 over asking. We had a lot of showings. This was the first offer, the only offer that came in. And the person requested um a 48 hour window for us to get back to them. They sent it at on Saturday night at like 10 and she plopped it into AI or I think it was chat and said, is this offer worth looking at? And chat told her that it was a passive aggressive offer and that she should not take it. So she didn't.
So your seller,
Blew my mind.
what
Trusted chat over me. I don't.
did you
So,
sell it? Did you end up selling the house or
of
not?
course,
Yeah, later on, but it took longer then.
it took longer. I ended up getting her a little bit more, but it did take longer. And I
Mm-hmm.
think she was just frustrated with the first seller and the first buyer, and it gave her a bad taste in her mouth about the deal
Hmm.
and how somebody presents not me, how a buyer would present an offer. And I tried to
Hmm.
explain to her this was not passive aggressive. The woman wants to go look at other houses if this isn't going to work out. But when somebody hears something and sees it, they made up their mind on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think a
I know
lot of our job is going to be combating what they're seeing.
what, yeah, or what they're hearing about and what
Yeah.
they're act or how the, wait, again, remember, think about when the computers first cell phones came out, first computers, and we start using it. Like I was working on a PhD back in the 80s, and I said, yeah, well, I had the internet. And you didn't have the internet in the 80s. I said, yes, I did. I was out of college
Netscape.
working.
Yep.
Oh, shoot. I had that 5 1/4 inch floppy disk in my Apple IIe computer, but
Yep.
we had the mainframe, and we had, but we could do that, so talking to younger people about what we did way back then, they can't even imagine it,
Yeah.
you know, but I think the way that we perceive it, and I like your examples that how we're going to combat or address those issues that come to us from the buyers or the
Yeah.
sellers.
A lot of that
Especially
is explaining upfront these stories rather than
mhm,
waiting for it to happen.
right, and let's bring it out. Tell me what you know about it.
Yeah.
That's now if it's an older person, they're trying to deal with it too. Oh, I'll let my grandson handle it or something like that, so that the younger kids can look at it. But in the 30 group, the age that's buying houses right now, they're savvy.
Yeah.
And,
She was in her
and
60s.
really,
Yeah.
okay.
A lot of all age groups are
Yeah.
using ChatGPT.
hmm but and it's just my own opinion, is that when you have to read what it gives you before you talk to somebody else about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because sometimes you go, no, that's not right. But then people don't read anything anymore either, you know.
Yep.
Um, and unfortunately, I think that our education system is struggling because of it. Just from coming from a professor standpoint, I
Yeah.
don't even know if I want to be a professor at this point in time.
Yeah.
Based on what you're trying to, everything's. I was a professor in the classroom when COVID hit. I don't know if I could have done all that. Online, everything's online, and not. I enjoyed the
Yeah.
classroom.
My
You
mom
know.
was a kindergarten teacher, and my
Oh,
dad
really?
would videotape her from the side, standing in front of the screen, going like this, trying to make the kids interested in paying attention.
Oh my gosh.
Mm.
Well, from a real estate perspective, thank you so much. Oh, I forgot to ask. How can we get in touch with you? How can we get in touch with you so we can do some
Smoke
referrals and
signals,
yeah, we can do that.
airplanes with my name on it flying by
Okay.
with the banners. So my name is spelled Carly. A lot of people put an E in it, but it's just Carly
Yeah.
Ringer at kw.com is my email for Keller
Yeah.
Williams. I'm on Instagram. I run an Instagram account and a Facebook page. The Facebook group has, as of today, 10,800 people in it. And I'm trying to
How
shift
long
over
you been,
to
how long you
Instagram.
been doing that for Facebook?
So it is not about real estate. It is about what is going on every weekend at the Jersey Shore. It is called
I
Jersey
know.
Shore Weekend
I went on the
Updates.
internet. I was scooping you out and I saw
Yeah.
that on the internet.
So
Yep.
it's
I saw
Jersey
everything
Shore
that's going on.
weekend updates,
Yep.
and it's
Yep.
what bands are playing
Yep.
where there's a car show, a full moon festival, fireworks, movies on the beach, and I do it all year long.
Yep.
A misnomer about the Jersey Shore is that we are only open from May till August, but we
hmm
actually have a vibrant community all year long, unless
hmm
you're on the Barrier Island, that where it's like Seaside Heights, Bay have Manahawkin, that gets a little quieter. But the rest of it,
hmm
we have schools here. We have people who work here full time. Sometimes you need restaurant reservations, even in the winter. There's always stuff going on here. So
Yeah,
I
here
am a
too.
local resource to everybody. And that's how I get a lot of my business is on social
Right.
media. It's
hmm
just letting people know. They might not care that I know what crown molding is, but they care that I know where they could get their nails done, or if their kid has an ear infection, where do you go?
hmm
I think people turn to realtors for that kind of stuff as well.
Well, we really do know the market, and not
Yeah,
just houses.
not
I
just
mean,
houses.
because
We live here,
I
we
try to,
eat, breathe.
yeah, and I try to tell people, especially new agents, like think of a bicycle wheel. We're in the middle because we have to know everybody that has to do the transaction, who's
Yep.
involved with it. We have to put it all together. And if we're good at it, then everything goes pretty smooth. I always like, I'll tell my sellers or my buyers, how do you want me to communicate with you?
Yeah.
Do you want something up to date every week, or do you just want to
Yep.
check at the end? I mean, so let's see how you want to do.
Yeah.
And because I want to know how they want me to be involved. Because if I'm blah, 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 bombarding them and they go, oh, stop, you know, I know some people, and I'm sure you do know, it's like, I don't want to know the problems. I'm going to solve the problems before they hit them. That's
Yeah.
the way I feel I should do the service.
Yeah.
And it's worked pretty well. So I mean, I was like, oh my gosh, some of the stuff, like talking about the AI. I was on a conference call or something, and they said, oh, AI is going to take over. Da, da, da. I said, AI is not going to fix the toilet. So and everybody just started cracking up laughing because somebody has to go fix the toilet,
Yeah.
you know. And
A lot
maybe
of
it could be
times it's us.
yeah, it is. That's true.
You take the
I
top
was,
off, you jiggle it.
yeah, what was I doing the other day? I was doing something. I said, why am I doing this? But it was easier for me just to do it than try to call a handyman to do it.
Yep.
And, but I want to thank you. This has been fun,
Yeah, I enjoyed
about
it.
your area and what you're doing and everything. And so we know how to get in touch with you.
Yeah.
You need to come down and visit.
Yeah. I'll come
In
teach
the
a
beach
class
here.
there.
There you go. Well, we can do some of that. Oh, before we get off, I have a little swag. I gotta do this. A little swag for you. It's a little coffee cup.
Oh, I
So
love
after we
that.
get off, I want to make sure I get an address from you so
That's
I
awesome.
can send it to you. So we're gonna close for today. This is Cynthia Tant with Sip Sell Repeat, and I'm over here in Pensacola Beach. Nice beach behind me. Yes, that's our beach. And we are closing off or signing off or whatever we want to say with Carly Ringer from the New Jersey coast. If you're inspired by these powerful women in real estate, you'll want to catch the next conversation. Click the video on screen to keep sipping, selling, and leveling up your game.